go. Well, hi, Les. I've got another good story to tell you, and you're going to, I'm sure, want to get your mother to see this story too. But before I get started on the main story, I wanted to come back for a minute to Chris Evert. I told you that I thought she was the most important woman tennis player of the modern era, because she proved to women that you can be totally, totally feminine and play world-class, all-out sports. But I missed the second part to tell you about her impact. She's the first woman a big-time woman with a two-handed backhand. And this is tremendously important for girls, because without the two-handed backhand, girls can't really start playing tennis until they're around 12, because they just don't have the strength to hit a backhand, a one-handed backhand. But with a two-handed backhand, you can start playing tennis at 6, 7, 8, just like the boys. And so she had another tremendous impact with the two-handed backhand. So I want to complete just a quick thing of my favorite women tennis players before I get on to my main story. And of course, my favorite woman tennis player of all time is Ann Leslie Croyder. No question about it. You're number one. And then I have a group that follows, and this group is Chris Evert, her big rival, the left-hander, whatever her name is, Martina Navratilova, and of course your heroine, who is obviously Steffi Graf. I really like Steffi Graf, though I have to say this: she always made me mad because she should have been practicing a top-spun backhand instead of pounding all those early round opponents in tournament after tournament, 6-1, 6-1, when she could have been hitting top-spun backhands. So I gotta say, Steffi Graf so annoyed me there. I can't say that she's my favorite of all time. She's just one of them. And then, of course, there is Celis, and the girl with the two hands on both sides. And she ruined herself because she was unable to recover from being stabbed. And apparently, during that time, she got an eating disorder. And she confessed later in life that her eating disorder was really what kept her from coming back right. So that's the group. But then I got another one to throw in there, and I forget her name. But she's like pardon us.
Okay.
She's like 6'2". She's overweight, and you know her, I know her. I consider her the best striker of a tennis ball of anybody of all time. I mean, when it comes to hitting forehands and backhands, this woman can strike the ball better than any tennis player I've ever seen of either sex. But of course, she was a dog as a competitor. Every time she missed two in a row, she'd hang her head. But you know who she is. All right, now here's to the main story. I had just begun dating your mother seriously. She was a teenager, and here I was, I guess, getting ready to graduate from college, somewhere in there. And I knew nothing about tennis. I knew how it was scored. I'd seen it played a little at Craigsmore on the brown court. I'd never even seen a high school tennis match. There's nothing on television. We didn't have a television, but there was nothing on television about tennis. I had never seen a college match. I'd never seen a pro match. I'd never even seen a country club match. We weren't members of a country club. I'd never even seen a decent tennis match. And here I was beginning to date your mother. She lived in Long Island. I lived in New Jersey. What an impossible situation. unless we were in Cragsmore. It was very difficult. And I was over in Long Island for the weekend. And what to do? I mean, what could I possibly do? And I said to Ellie, I said, you know, I hear the U.S. Open is being played at Forest Hills. And I've never been to Forest Hills. I've never seen a U.S. Open. All I know is that there's a guy named Pancho Gonzalez who plays tennis. And you want to go over there and see what it's like? And so she said, sure. She'd never seen it either. So we went over there just to look around. And yeah, there were a lot of people there, but it wasn't like today. Jammed with people, it wasn't. And it was interesting. We looked around. And I don't know, I said, well, when did the match start? And they said, well, the final is being played in 15 minutes. The final's going to start in 15 minutes. I said, well, let's go over there and see if we can get in. I know we can't get in. It's going to be sold out. It's impossible to get in. But let's go over there. So I went over there up to the counter and said, 2 tickets, please. And they said, well, do you want good tickets or bad tickets? And I said, the best. And they said, okay, here 2. They were expensive, but they weren't ridiculous. They weren't ridiculous at all. And I bought them. I got the 2 best seats in the house. Got the 2 best seats in the house. Now, I didn't know enough about tennis to know they were the best seats because they were in the end zone with a little angle. And, you know, I thought what you did was you sat in the middle and wiggled your head back and forth to watch the tennis ball go back. I thought those were the best seats. But I soon found out that sitting in the end zone where we were the best seats in the house. And here we are at the U.S. Open final. Pancho Gonzalez versus Ted Schroeder. I've never heard of Ted Schroeder, but I could see that during the warm-up that he couldn't hit the ball like Pancho, but he was a terrific athlete. Guy about 6 feet tall, 185 pounds. Somebody like that Spaniard, a real athlete. And, it was serve and volley back then. It was on grass. It came in all the time to the net. And I could see this guy was a real athlete, but he was playing Pancho. And I'm telling you, I never saw anything so exciting and so phenomenal. Pancho won in 5 sets. He lost the first 2, won the next 3. And that was my introduction to big-time tennis when it was with your mother. And we were looking right over Pancho's shoulders when he was serving into the backhand court from our side. And you could see him place the serves, and it was phenomenal. And another funny thing about it was fairly early on, I kept hearing a whirring noise. I said, what's this whirring noise? And I turned around and looked, and I'm staring into a TV camera. Sitting right over our heads was the first TV used in a tennis match in this country. They televised the final, and the television was right behind us. So when I say we had the best seats in the house, we had the best seats. And when the match was over, here's your dad again. And I'm going to pause here for a second and tell you something about the first basketball game I ever saw, pro basketball. In high school, when I was a senior in high school, some of the guys said, let's go into New York City and see the Knicks play basketball, and the professional basketball team. And so I went with them, and they were playing the Syracuse Nationals with the famous Dolph Shays. And anyway, I was kind of curious as to how big these guys really were. And this just shows how everything's changed in this country. Just before the final whistle blew, I got up from my seat, went out into the center aisle Did I go backwards? No, I went down to the court. I was literally standing beside the court when the whistle blew. And I just simply walked out onto Madison Square Garden and just simply walked in among the 10 players on the court, the 5 Knicks and the 5 Syracuse, when the whistle blew. And there I am walking around among them and seeing how tall they are. Nobody paid any attention to me. No cops grabbed me. Nobody pushed me. Nobody said a word to me. It was just like I wasn't there. And I walked all around with them and determined that the heights were just about like what they said they were. So now back to the tennis. So the match is over. Pancho has won, and so your mother and I are standing around after the thing is over, and of course your dad, me, wants to see what Pancho Gonzalez looks like up close and personal. I'd known Pancho. I'd heard about him. I heard he was a big crier and whiner, and he was always saying how he was a public parks player and how he had no chance to be how could he be a champion when everybody else went to private country clubs and had all this stuff, and he had nothing, and all the stuff. He was hollering around back then like they holler around now. And I thought, well, now what's Pancho going to do? So I'm going to stand around and see Pancho. So we only waited